please, can you just off your camera, please? Off your camera, please. So you're all welcome, right? You're all welcome. Please confirm you can hear me. Confirm you can hear me. Confirm you can hear what I'm saying. Confirm you can hear me, please. Confirm you can hear me. Confirm you can hear me. Okay, so you're welcome, right? You're actually welcome to this session today, right? And like you can see on my screen, right? We're going to be looking at how you can actually unlock your future, right? By discovering the essential guide to cloud computing in 2026. We are going to discover why cloud skills are actually non-negotiable for your career, for your business, your personal growth in the era of artificial intelligence. So I'll introduce myself, right? I'm Chinedu Onyema Oremus, aka Born Teacher, and I am a cloud engineer and trainer, right? And I'm going to be taking you, right, and explaining to you what's cloud computing, how you can start your own journey, right? How you can delve into this field, right? In 2026, right, and why you need to actually cloud now. So you're welcome once again, right? You're actually welcome once again. So let's get started, right? Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to look at, right, is I'm going to looking at our learning objectives, right? We're going to looking at what the cloud is. We're going to looking at why we're going to cloud in Nigeria now. We're going to looking at the big players, AWS, Azure, GCP. We're going to looking at pathways to a cloud career. We're going to looking at the present and the future, which is the cloud. We're going to looking at how tech dealer consulting can actually help you begin your cloud journey. So all these, right, are what we're going to be doing, looking at today in this session. So you're actually welcome. You're actually welcome. So let's get started, right? So let's look at the history of cloud computing. Let's look at the history and introduction of cloud computing. So in the early 2000s, right, during the internet boom, Amazon.com, its online bookstore website, was actually struggling internally, right? Every new feature on Amazon.com in terms of payments, in terms of recommendations, in terms of order processing, require teams to repeatedly build servers, build storage, databases from the scratch. So what this costs is that it costs slow development, high cost, and constant operational bottlenecks. So to face this, right, Amazon's engineering leadership, notably Jeff Bezos and his board, made a key decision. So what did they say? They said they were going to break Amazon's monolithic system into small, reusable internal services. Now, this is what Amazon.com looks like, right? This was what back then what Jeff Bezos was actually using for to sell his books, right? But now it has actually grown to something else, right? You can see it's now a big e-commerce platform, right? But back then, this platform was only meant for selling books, right? So that was the situation on ground, because this platform was not able to scale, right? It was not able to scale in the sense that it was not easy for customers all over the world to be able to access their websites, right? So they said they were going to break it into microservices. By the time you become a cloud engineer, you understand what microservices are. Then they made sure that every service, right, had to be scalable, reliable, and accessible via APIs. Now, the infrastructure also should be self-service, so teams can launch without waiting on central IT. So after this board resolution, right, Amazon.com was fixed. So if you come here, right, this is Amazon.com, right, this is Amazon.com. So it got fixed, right, it was working efficiently, right. There were no longer the bottlenecks of not being able to scale, and it was functional, right, it was functional, it was effective, right. So after that, right, Amazon was going, everything was going according to plan. Now, this is Amazon.com. I don't want you guys to get this confused. This is Amazon.com. This is where you can come and buy groceries, you can buy different things for your for whatever purpose you want to actually use it for, right? So this was what the problem that Jeff and his team were actually facing, this website, right? So after they fixed the website, right, Amazon.com solved the infrastructure problems, right? But there was a problem after that. They had realized that they have built different data centers in various locations in the United States of America and some part of Europe, where it had a huge customer base, and these data centers were now idle. So when we say something is idle, right, we are saying something is not serving the purpose it's supposed to serve. It's just there, right? And say, for example, Olatunji is idle. he's not doing anything, right? So that was the same thing. That was the same scenario that were happening to those data centers. They were all over the United States of America. They were in some part of Europe. They were in South Africa because they had one in South Africa. But these data centers were idle. So these data centers were no longer being used, and they were incurring high maintenance costs. They were incurring tax costs, right? So Amazon.com again and his board had to look for a way to eliminate these costs, right? So they decided to rent these servers for startups, right? Which were businesses trying to build a presence in the IT space, and it worked, right? Betting Amazon Web Services in 2026. Now, if you come here, this is an example of what Amazon Web Services looks like. Now, don't confuse it. This is Amazon Web Services and this is Amazon.com. So, if you become a cloud engineer, right, you're not going to be using Amazon.com. You're going to be using Amazon Web Services to build infrastructure, right? So, the problem of Amazon.com was what bets Amazon Web Services. Okay, so this is what you need to actually understand, right, as we progress, because you will need it as you progress, right? You will need to understand the underlying infrastructure of everything that happens in this platform as we progress. Now, companies like Airbnb, right? Companies like Netflix, right? Companies like Canva, right, were the first among the few startups back then that leverage of the data centers of AWS to scale their infrastructure and achieve industry leadership within their various industries. So, what we're trying to say that without the cloud, right, companies like Airbnb, companies like Netflix, will never have existed. They will never have come to light, right? They will never have existed, right? You will never have known about them. Google, on the other hand, saw the progress of AWS, right, and launched the Google Cloud Platform, which is GCP, right, in 2008, and decided as it was Google App Engine. Then later to expanded to a full cloud platform branded as GCP in 2011, building on Google's expertise in large-scale infrastructure and data systems. So, in very simple terms, right, cloud computing is when we upload our photos, right, or videos, right, to Google Drive, or when we stream a football match or movie on a platform like Netflix. Now, I know that Arsenal is actually playing, right? Today is a final, right? Two teams are playing, they're battling to win, right? But in simple terms, right, without the cloud, right, without the cloud, that would not have been possible. We would not be able to actually stream movies and watch football matches, right? We will not be able to do all of this, right, without the cloud platforms like AWS, like GCP, like ASU, right? So that is the introduction of what cloud computing is. So let's look at why we need to cloud in Nigeria now, right? So why do we have to cloud in Nigeria now? So before I go further with this, right, I want to show you guys three articles, right? And one of the articles I'm going to show you guys is this article from Tech About here, right, that talks about Airtel betting on AI, 120 million data centers set to go live. Like I said previously, without data centers, there's no cloud. The cloud cannot be possible, right? So Airtel Nigeria, right, is actually planning to, or rather, they are actually building a $120 million data center that is set to go live this year. And this article, if you come here, this is 6th August 2025, right? And this article was published 6th of August. This is almost a year, right? So when I was in the class that day, when this article came out from Tech About, now I want to show you guys another article, and this is from Technology Times, right? This is from Technology Times, and this is an article about MTN. And if you come, you can see MTN Nigeria unveils 181 billion naira to build a data center to power digital economy drive. So this is another article, and this is MTN, right, investing in a data center. Now you can see this is an example of what a data center looks like, right? You can see this is what an example of data center looks like. So without a data center, you cannot actually have cloud platform, right? So the cloud runs on data centers, right? The cloud must run on data centers. Now I want to show you guys another article, and this is from Equinix. And I see Equinix announces plans for new $22 million data center in Lagos. So these three articles, right, has actually verified the claim that if you want to build cloud infrastructure, right, you need data centers. So cloud engineers, right, you're not going to work in those physical data centers. You're going to look at using platforms like AWS, platforms you're seeing in my screen, right? This is an example of what you're going to be using. But what powers the infrastructure you're going to build are those data centers that are physically what in existence. So these three articles, right, verifies the claim why you need to actually start your cloud journey today. Now, if you come here, you can see this article is saying Airtel Nigeria, right, is making a $120 million bet on AI. Right, the telecom giant says its upcoming 38 megawatt data center, now that construction at Echo Atlantic, is scheduled to come online in 2026 and will power Nigerians' AI ambitions by providing the much needed local capacity. So Airtel is betting on artificial intelligence. They know that with the rise of AI, there is no business that can actually survive without using a data center, without using the cloud, right? So they want to invest like Amazon Web Services. They want to invest like Google. They want to invest like Equinix, right? So you can see that they are building that platform, right? So that businesses can actually use their data centers to build their infrastructure, right? So if you come here to this one by Technology Times and I scroll down here, you can see that MTN Nigeria is today making a bold infrastructure play with the launch of the Sefiso Dambingwa Data Center, which is a landmark 181 billion right naira facility which the telco describes as the largest tier 3 fabricated modular data center in West Africa. MTN. Now this article came out last year, right? And this was in June, right? It came out in July last year, I beg your pardon, right? 2025, right? And when it came out also, it was in the morning I actually saw it, right? So these articles are this second article that can verify your claim why you need to cloud now. Now again, this is from Equinix, right? You can see Equinix announces plans for a new 22 million data center in Lagos, right? So this is Equinix, and this article came out November 10th, 2025, right? So all this, right, is what's supposed to verify your claim on why you need to actually start your cloud journey today, right? I've showed you three articles, one from Airtel, one from MTN, and one from Equinix. So your question should be, why is MTN, why is Airtel, right? This, I know we all know these guys, right? Why are they building data centers, right? Why are they building data centers? Now, the answer is clear, right? The answer is clear. The reason why they are building data centers is because they know that with the rise of AI, right, no company, right, no business, right, can actually survive without using a cloud platform. And that is the current situation of the world. That is where the direction everybody is going to. And that is why you need to start your cloud journey today, right? That is why you need to start your cloud journey today. So who are the big players, right? Who are the big players? The big players are AWS, Azure, and GCP. So AWS, right, is the largest cloud provider in the world, right? AWS is the largest cloud provider in the world. So if you come to my screen here, and you can see that this is AWS, right? So AWS are the pioneers, they are the first, right? So what it means is that if MTN, right, is building their infrastructure today, if Airtel is building their infrastructure today, if Equinix is building their infrastructure today, they must use the blueprints of AWS. So what it means that if you know AWS, if you learn AWS, right, it means that you can actually build in any cloud platform. So if MTN tomorrow builds their own cloud platform, you can use their cloud platform. If Airtel builds their own cloud platform, you can use their cloud platform. So every blueprint from all cloud platforms, from Microsoft Azure, from GCP, they all build their own idea, right, from AWS. So if you know AWS, then you can build anywhere. Now, when I learned, right, I learned with AWS, right, and that what made me so if you actually know how to build in GCP, how to build in Azure. So I can actually build in different cloud platform, but you need to actually know one first. So if you know one first, one cloud platform like AWS, and you master it, you can build across all platforms. So AWS, right, they are the kings of the game, right? They are the pioneers, they are the king of the game, and they are the large cloud provider in the world. Okay, so let me create an AWS budget for you guys so you can actually see how to actually use AWS. So you come here, right, and I come here. This is AWS, but before I build something, before I create a service for you guys, I want us to look at how to create your AWS account, right? I've talked about this. I want us to look at how you can create your AWS account. So what are the requirements for creating an AWS account? So to create your AWS account, we have an AWS documentation, right, that takes you to the sites you can read to see the requirements from AWS on how to create your AWS account. So if you open this on another tab here and you come to this documentation, you will see this documentation tells you everything you need to create your AWS account. You can see you need an email address, you need an account name, you need an address, right? You need a phone number, right? But all these are not what you need because you're just starting now. So reading documentations can actually bore you and actually make you tired before you actually get started, right? So I have this small documentation here, and you can see that these are what you need. You need a name, you need an email, you need a MasterCard, right? First Bank, Zenith Bank accepted, Access Bank is denied, right? If you don't have a MasterCard, you can visit this site and create a MasterCard and you're good to go, or you use Grey.co, but you need to deposit $5 to use Grey.co. Then you need an address, right? Then you need a phone number and you're good to go, right? Also, this is the sign up page. This is the page for you to actually create the account. So if I open this link, let me remove this documentation here. If I open this link, you can see it takes me to this page for me to actually register, create my AWS account. So this is the step. This is your first step, right? This is where you're going to actually begin your cloud journey. When you create your AWS account and you have something like this is what changes everything for you. This is what changes your life, right? This is what changes your life. This is the first step that changes everything for you. So this is it, right? So if you want to further, maybe you want to get this documentation on how to create your AWS account, then you can actually reach out after the course, right? So the course advisor is in the group. She's going to actually leave the group open. You can ask your questions, and I will actually be added to the group because I'm not currently in the group, and I'll actually respond to your questions, right? Then other requirements, right, for the course is you need an IDE, and you also need something like Google Authenticator application, right? Because you're actually going to be using a multi-factor authenticator to actually access your AWS infrastructure. So all these are what you need, right, to get started with AWS. So now let's create a service, right? So let me create a service for you, right? So you can actually see how to actually use this AWS you have been here, right? AWS have been here, how cloud engineers work. So let me come here, right? And the first thing you want to do, right, as a cloud engineer is to create an AWS budget. So why do you create an AWS budget? Now, you create an AWS budget for so many reasons, right? Now, the number one reason why you create an AWS budget is that when you start working for an organization, right, and you have your task is to build infrastructure for your company, right? So for you to build your infrastructure for your company, right, you need to create a budget for them. Like I said, this is not a sandbox environment. This is where real companies build their infrastructure, right? This is where big businesses like Netflix and MoneyPoint, like Jumia Konga, they use these platforms to build their businesses, right? So the first thing you want to do is to create for an AWS budget for them. So the first thing you will do is you're going to come to search here and you're going to type AWS budget, or you can just type budget. So this is budget, right? So if I open this on another tab here, it takes me, you can see that this is the home page, right? So I open another tab to take me to that service. So it will take me to the budget service, okay? It will take me to the budget service. So this is AWS budget. Let's just wait for it to load. It's taking you here. Are you seeing it? So when you come here, you want to create a budget. So you click on create a budget here. So when you come here, the first thing you want to do is to choose a budget setup, right? So the budget setup can determine how you want to customize the budget. Do you want to use, do you want to customize it, or do you want to use something like a template, right? So if I come here, I want to use customize, right? So if I customize it, it means that I want to actually set the budget how my organization's business requirement demands, right? So when you click on customize here, you scroll down here and you want to select the type of budget you're creating. Now you have what they call cost budget, you have usage budgets, you have savings budgets, you have reservation budget. So when we say cost budget means that we want to actually monitor our infrastructure spend. Now if you come here to this my AWS console and you scroll down here, you can see cost and usage here. So I've been trying to build something for a client, right? And you can see the cost is about $2.23. So this is what I'm actually going to be paying for the bones for what I'm actually building for this client, right? But the thing we are doing about budget is that we want to actually monitor these costs here. We want to monitor the costs to make sure that whatever our organization is planning to use is not what we're not actually going to pay above what they plan to actually spend, right? So that is the goal of budget. So the first thing you want to do, right, is that under budget type here, you can leave it as cost budget, because cost budget is going to monitor everything your organization in terms of infrastructure spend, everything is going to actually monitor it, right? So we're going to leave it as cost budget, and we're going to scroll down and we're going to click on next here, right? Then the next thing we're going to do, right, is to give our budget a name. So for me, I'm going to give my budget the name exercise budget. So I'll just say exercise budget. So for you, right, if you're creating your own budget, the budget should fit the organization business requirement. Okay, so I'm just using this name because of the exercise I'm actually doing. Now when you come to set budget amount, right, you can choose the type of periods that you want your budget to actually monitor. Do you want it to be a monthly budget? Do you want it to be a daily budget? Do you want it to be a quarterly budget? So everything you're actually going to choose here will depend on the business requirement, like I said, right? So like I said, most businesses actually want to pay monthly. They want to actually spend monthly. They want to build infrastructure and pay for those infrastructure on a monthly basis. So naturally, if you work for a startup, you're going to be using a monthly budget, right? Now for big companies like MoneyPoint, they want to actually spend quarterly, right? So a quarter is every 3 months, right? So if you calculate quarterly now, right, where this is the second quarter of the year, right? The first quarter is January, February, March. That was first quarter. April, May, June is the second quarter, right? So we're in the second quarter of the year. So if you work for a company like, let me say, MoneyPoint, right, then you want to choose a quarterly budget, right? Then there are some businesses that are very, very large, like YouTube. They actually choose to use annually what budget. So all these are what you need to actually understand, right? All these are what we actually need to understand when we are actually creating a budget. Okay, so I will just choose monthly budgets because we are trying to learn here, right? Then you want to leave it at recurring. So what recurring means that at the end of every month it starts again, right? At the end of every month the budget will actually start again. So you get to see the budget at the end of every month. It just starts again, right? Then you can leave it as recurring, or you can expire. So expire means you want to actually state when it's the budget will actually end, right? So it depends on you, but for me, I like to leave it as recurring, right? Then for the budget method, you want to leave it as fixed. Then the budget amount, you want to enter the amount your organization can spare, right? How much do they want to actually budget for the month? So I will just come here and I'll just put 0.50, right? So this is the amount that my organization can actually spare, right? Then you scroll down, you want to monitor all AWS services, right? You want to monitor all AWS services. So you scroll down and we're going to leave it at unblended cost. You scroll down and you click on next here. Now, the next thing you want to do is to set something like a threshold. So, what the threshold means is that if you get to a certain point, right, on your budget usage, you want AWS to actually send you an alert, right? So, you can say that the amount of budget I actually set was 0.050, right? So I can come here and say if we get to 0.25, right, send us a message, right, which is half of 0.50, right? Send us a message. So we're going to actually get a message. So when you come to email representing, you want to put the people that are actually relevant to your organization, right? The auditors, the accountants, right? Whoever is in charge, right? You want to actually put their email. So I can just come here and just put my own email here. Right, so I can just come here and put my own email here. So these are those that will actually get notified, right, when we actually reach the budget threshold. So I can just scroll down here, I'll click on next, then I'll scroll down here, I'll click on next again, then I can review everything I've set, right, and I'll click on create budget, right? So when I create this budget, right, when I get to that 0.25 threshold, right, AWS will actually notify me that I've actually passed that budget. So this budget is what's going to actually monitor our infrastructure spend, right? So if we go above what we decide to use, then AWS will actually send us a message so that we can actually know that we've actually crossed that threshold. Now, this is very important for your organization. It's very important for your own personal project, right? Because you're going to be building things and you want to monitor what you're actually building, right? You just don't want to come and start building infrastructure and get lost building infrastructure. You want to monitor what you're actually building. So that is the reason why you need to actually create a budget. So this is what you need to know. This is the first step. This is the first thing you want to do when you're building infrastructure. So let's look at key benefits, and we'll look at the key benefits for you, right? So what are the key benefits for cloud computing? Now, the key benefits for businesses, right, is that previously, right, back in the day, right, a business will not be able to actually build infrastructure without building data centers. Okay, so AWS, GCP, Azure has actually eliminated all those barriers, right? They don't need to actually wait, right? They don't need to actually build their own data center before they actually start going live. They actually start marketing their products, right? All those are gone. They are no longer existing, right? So one of the big advantage of cloud computing is that they can just have the idea, right? Put it in code and they go live, right? So if you come here, right? If I have an idea, maybe I want to build a financial application, right? What I just need to do is just create an account, right? If I have the skill set, I'll deploy my application in this place, market it, and I'm good to go, right? But before, back in the day, right, I will need to actually start building data centers. I will need to actually start building so many things, right? And it is not financially advisable for a startup. So if a startup has maybe 2 million naira to actually get started, to actually build their business, what it means is that they will need to actually build data centers, and by the time they finish building data centers, it's going to cost them over 95% of their funds, right? So all these are what we need to understand, which are the key benefits, right, for businesses, for startups, for national companies. So what are the key benefits for you, right? So let us move further and let us see how the cloud can actually benefit us, right? Cloud can actually benefit anyone. Now, top skills, right? For technical and nautical roles, you can earn from when you become an AWS Cloud Solutions Architect. Now, there are many skills there are many roles you can actually choose from, right? You can be a cloud consultant, you can be a cloud marketer, you can be a cloud trainer like myself, you can be a cloud engineer, you can be a cloud support engineer, you can be a cloud solutions architect, you can be a platform engineer, you can be a site reliability engineer, you can be a DevOps engineer, you can be a cloud network engineer, you can be a cloud LLM developer, you can be a cloud security personnel, so many other roles can actually benefit from this, right? So it's all about DevOps, right? You can be anything you want to be, right, as a cloud solutions architect. For example, as a cloud consultant, right, you can advise companies on how they can actually integrate the cloud to their systems, right? I know a man that actually took this course and now is a cloud consultant, right? He has actually even started consulting for different businesses, and he advises them on how they can actually start, right? How they can actually start their cloud, integrate any cloud platform they choose by them actually consulting him. So this is one of the ways you can actually be, right? You can actually earn, right, from being a cloud solutions architect. Another one is a cloud marketer, right? So I want to show you this job posting about this cloud job role. Now if you come, you can see this. Though it has expired, right? But I just wanted to show you that this is for a cloud sales engineer, right? If you come here, you can see that you don't need any serious technical skill, right? If you have previous sales experience and you know how the cloud works, you know how AWS works, you know how Microsoft Azure works, you know how any cloud platform works, and you can sell that cloud platform, then this job is for you. Look at the job role, 300 to 500k per month, right? So this is another way you can actually become, you can actually earn from the cloud. You must not be DevOps and not go to the technical side. No, right? You have different ways of earning from this, right? So this is what you need to actually understand, right, before you actually become a cloud solutions architect. Now, again, right, we have cloud engineers, right? So a cloud engineer is people like me that actually build infrastructure in the cloud, right? So you need to actually be technical, become a cloud engineer. Also, a cloud support engineer are those that actually support businesses that build the infrastructure on AWS. Again, cloud solutions architect, similar to cloud engineer. You have platform engineers, they are also similar. You also have site reliability engineers, DevOps engineers, cloud engineers, LLM developers, security personnel. All these roles require you to have a bit of technicality in them, them. So all these are how you can actually benefit from the cloud. So the cloud is exploding, right? So what does this mean for you, right? Now the cloud is the present and the cloud is the future, right? So massive industry growth is what makes the cloud to actually explode, right? And you can see the graph is actually going up year in, year out. So market analysis consistently point to the robust expansion driven by factors like AI adoption, digital transformation, and the need for scalable IT infrastructure. So AI, digital transformation, and the need for scalable IT infrastructure are what are skyrocketing the need, right, for cloud practitioners. So the cloud is expanding, right? I can see that the global cloud computing market size was estimated at $752.44 billion in 2024, right? And it's projected to reach $2.39 trillion by 2030. So you can see that we're having what we call a massive industry growth, right? But still, right, we are still at the surface, right? We have not actually scratch the surface yet, right? We are still going to continue growing. So that is what this means for you, right? The cloud is the present and the cloud is also the future. Then again, right, we have what we call skill gap crisis, right? We have limited skill personnel in this industry. So that is an opportunity for you, right? Your job security. We have limited skilled personnel, right, that actually man these cloud roles, right? So you can see, so imagine somebody doing 4 or 5 jobs, and that means that we have less skilled personnel in this industry. Now, every company is a cloud company in our world of artificial intelligence. So that is what this means for you. So you need to actually get started. So what are the mistakes aspiring cloud professionals make, and how do we avoid them? Now, the mistake aspiring cloud professionals make, right, is that they actually want to take so many tutorials, right? So one thing you need to do, right, when you're actually starting your cloud journey is to avoid the tutorial trap. So what's the tutorial trap? Now, this is particularly for beginners and non-technical individuals, right? You should not build applications to become a cloud professional. Let me explain this in summary. Now, there are some people, right, that they want to learn how the cloud works, right? But they don't understand that this thing has a structure, right? They go, they learn this, they learn that, they learn those things that are not actually necessary to building cloud infrastructure, and they become exhausted in the end, right? So that is what we call the tutorial trap, right? This is what we call the tutorial trap, right? So it's important for beginners to avoid this trap, right? You don't want to always, you cannot learn everything. There's a structure to this thing. So people that want to do it on their own, you always fall into this tutorial trap. Now, lack of hands-on experience, right? You need to show proof, and you need to show that you can actually use different platforms to build infrastructure, right? So you need to show that you can build infrastructure in platforms like GitHub, in platforms like YouTube, right? You need to show that, okay, this is what I build, this is what I can build, and you need to actually show the world that you can actually do all of this. So most people that they learn, right, they don't have this, right? They learn, they cannot actually build, they cannot even create an AWS budget. Funny enough, they don't even know what AWS budget is, just like what I created for you guys. They don't know it, but they know, they said that they learned cloud. So most of them, they learn it in the wrong way, right? So you need to actually show proof, you need to actually have projects. So again, right, no structured learning paths and guidance. So most people don't have a structured learning path and guidance. Just you learn Kubernetes today, you learn CloudFormation tomorrow, you learn Terraform on the third day, and you just get yourself confused, right? So there's no structured learning path and guidance for you. Then again, no power of mentorship, right? You need somebody to mentor. You need somebody to actually tell you how and where to actually pass, where to actually follow, right? It becomes very easy for you. Then listening to gatekeepers, right? You avoid listening to gatekeepers. Avoiding to gatekeepers. Now, gatekeepers are those people that tell you you cannot do this, right? You cannot do something, right? So avoid listening to gatekeepers. It's very important to actually avoid listening to gatekeepers. So all these are what we need to know, right? For those that are actually aspiring to be cloud professionals, right? And you need to actually avoid all of this. So when you start your cloud journey with us, what do you do? When you learn with us, what do you do? Now, what are you going to gain with us? Now, you're going to gain a structured learning path through our learning curriculum, right? You will follow who knows the road. You're going to build real projects with our hands-on labs, right? You're going to be guided by an expert trainer. Now you're going to follow learning materials using our African and Nigerian domain examples. Again, you're going to actually have a community and support system, and you're going to understand how the cloud certification works. So all these are what you're actually going to benefit when you start your cloud journey with us. So your AWS Cloud Solutions Architect Roadmap with Tech Consulting, right, starts here. So why the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course is the king. Now, if you want to go a step further, understanding how the cloud works, right, the first essential step, right, it gives to you is for you to actually understand how the basic cloud infrastructure works, right? Now, if you understand how the basic cloud infrastructure platform works, like AWS, then you can actually become a DevOps, you can specialize to become a DevOps personnel, a cloud systems administrator, a cloud troubleshooting engineer, right? Which are high in demand. So, but the first step is that you need to actually understand the basic level. Now, the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course gives you all of that. So, the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course is enough if you just want to know how the cloud infrastructure works and designed for beginners and to take you from zero to understanding how the cloud infrastructure is actually built. Okay, so all these are what you need to know for you to actually start your cloud journey. Now, we have two ways you can learn this course with us, right? You have the online mentorship masterclass. Now, the online mentorship masterclass, right, we allow you to learn this course with us in real time for 8 weeks through our mentorship masterclass. Now, each class will be recorded and you will join the mentorship group to receive updates and guidelines throughout the course. Now, initially, this course was 120, right? But because of we have a meeting and we decided to actually give a discount for webinar attendees and those that actually joining the group, you can pay 85,000 naira. Now, the classes are going to be from Fridays by 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and all classes are actually going to be recorded. Now, if you come here, right, and I come to this website called techglaconsulting.com, right, and I scroll down here, you can see we have this is the mentorship course, right? This is the mentorship course. Now, if you click on it, right, you can actually decide to actually register for this course, right? And if you come here, you can read everything about what this course actually provides. Right? You can see it is mentorship and it provides you for the what AWS Cloud Solutions Architect Certification SAA C03, right? And one thing about this course is that you can actually pay instrumentally, so you can actually split your payments, right? If you come here, you can actually split your payments into two parts, right? So you can see you can pay after 1 week because the course is for 8 weeks for 2 months, so you can actually split your pay, right, to make it like you can pay in parts, right, which is actually what acceptable. So you can pay in parts and we actually collect in parts. So after the first month, you're seeing how we are actually teaching you, then you can actually continue paying from the second month. So this is what you need to actually know about the course. So it's the mentorship course, so it's the live program that will run for 8 weeks. Okay, so this is what you need to actually understand. So the other way you can learn, right, is through the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect guided session. So what is this guided session? Now, the guided session is something that allows you to learn at your own pace. So when we say allows you to learn at your own pace, what do we actually mean? Now, what we mean is that you are going to actually follow recorded version of the course, something that is already recorded, right? So that is what we call guided session. You learn at your own pace, right? You don't need to, if you don't want to join the live classes, the mentorship class, and we have a recorded session that gives you the exact procedures for you to actually follow to actually create AWS services, understand how the cloud works, right? But it is a guided session. It's not like a mentorship class, right? They are just like the Udemy, Coursera style, whereby you watch recorded videos, right? So if you want that, right, if you want to actually follow that route, then you can pay 30,000 naira. So if you come here, right, you can see it is for 30,000 naira. If you come here, you can see this is the guided session, right? And initially it was 40,000, but you can pay 30,000. Also, you can also use a promo code to actually get 10% off this 30,000 naira. So if you feel okay, you don't want the mentorship class, you want the guided sessions class, then you can actually follow that. You can actually pay for that that fee. You can actually pay the fee, right, of 30,000 and apply cloud computing discount to get 10% off this price. So all these are what you need to actually know about this guided session, right? So it depends on what you want, right? If you want the live class, you want to meet colleagues like you, people that are interested in the course like you want to network, you want to socialize with people, you want to follow the class step by step with the instructor, you want to ask questions, then the mentorship session is for you, right? To follow the mentorship session. But if you want something that, okay, you want to come today, watch the video and just do whatever you want to do, follow the course at the pace that you actually can follow it, then you can actually use this the guided sessions, right? The guided session is what you can actually use. Now let us move on, and we have mentorship courses you can actually learn with us. Other mentorship courses you can actually learn with us. For example, we have what we call the Cloud and DevOps mentorship course. So the Cloud and DevOps mentorship course, right, is a combination of everything you're going to get in the Cloud Solution Architect course, right? You have this Cloud Solution Architect course, everything you're going to get in this course plus DevOps. So if you want something that is combined, cloud and DevOps, right, together, after you learn how the cloud infrastructure work, and you now want to learn how developers and the operation guys work together, right, to deploy applications in the cloud, then you actually take this mentorship program. And you can see it's good for 500,000. It's going to last for 6 months, right? It's going to last for 6 months, and everything you need to know, right, from going from zero, right, to hero, everything is in this cloud and DevOps course. So it's a mentorship program. So we don't have a guided session for it. It's mentorship. So for 6 months, you're going to be learning with the instructor, right? And I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know. We're going to know how to build Kubernetes. You're going to be learning how to build Terraform. You're going to be learning how to build with CloudFormation. You're going to learn how to build the AWS CLI. You're going to learn how to use bash scripting. You're going to use code deploy, code pipeline, GitHub Actions, all of those tools, right? And by the time you finish this course, right, you'll be ready to actually start applying for job. And you can see they are 100% practical. You have a shareable certificate, and they are all live classes. So this is what you need to know. Now, also you can pay instrumentally. You can pay instrumentally, right? So if you don't know, okay, you don't want to pay for the full fee of 500,000, you can pay instrumentally. Okay, so you can split, you can split it, right? You can split it into, okay. So all these are what you need to know. Now if you can pay everything in full, then fine, right? But we have this flexible payment plan you can actually pay. So you can pay half, then maybe towards the end of the course you can actually complete your payment. So all these are what you need to know. Again, we have what we call the Linux and Cloud Network Troubleshooting course. So the Linux and Cloud Network Troubleshooting course is another arm of the cloud, right? It's another arm of the cloud. So what this Linux and Cloud Network Troubleshooting course does is that it is a mentorship program offered by Technical Consultants. Now, nobody will teach you this course. I've not seen anybody in Nigeria that will teach you Linux and Cloud Network Troubleshooting. Now, in this course, right, you're going to learn everything about the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course. Then you will now go a further step, right, by learning how to actually debug cloud network issues, troubleshooting issues in AWS, right? So this class you can see is a live class. I'm going to be using services like Linux, operating systems, you use AWS, Cloud Shell, Linux instances, Windows instances, basing hosts, VPC troubleshooting, and what you have. So the course is a detailed course, right? So when you take the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course, right, and you want to combine it with cloud network troubleshooting, then this course is for you. So you need to actually understand this. Now, nobody will teach you this course anywhere. This is only unique to what Technical course also. You need to actually know your specialization, what parts, where you want to actually choose. Now, in the DevOps course, right, you're going to actually learn everything in this course. Everything in the AWS Solution Architect course in this Cloud and DevOps course. So the Cloud and DevOps course is giving you everything, right? But if you don't want to learn everything, you just want to learn only the cloud, how the cloud works, and want to learn cloud network troubleshooting, then this course is for you, right? If you also want to learn only how the cloud works, then the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect course is for you. Okay, now we have other mentorship courses we offer, like the data analysis professional track and Python for everyone. So if you want to learn data analysis, or you have a friend that wants to learn it, you can actually recommend them. Also, we also have a Python course, you can also recommend that, and they are all mentorship courses, right? Live classes. The instructor is always going to send the link, you join, and you're going to actually learn with the instructor in real time. So all these are what you need to know, right? All these are what you need to know about all of this, right? All these are what you need to know about all of this. Now, the cloud network troubleshooting course will last for 8 weeks, right? And it goes for 185,000. Now, like I said, you can pay in installments. The cloud and DevOps course is 500,000, right? So it's going to actually last for 6 months. So after this class, after this course, you should be ready to become a cloud and DevOps engineer. So all these are what we need to know. Now, other benefits you're going to benefit with us in this enrollment, right, is you're going to actually have what we call a LinkedIn profile optimization. You're going to have Upwork and freelancer profile optimization. You're going to have CV optimization. You're going to have access to hiring human resource teams in Nigeria and overseas. You're going to have opportunities to work for tech consulting clients, because we have clients we work with. So if you finish the course, you can actually work for those clients. You have access to remote job opportunities through tech consulting partner network and many more. So these benefits are only for those taking the mentorship program. So all these are what you need to understand. So these are reviews from previous students who have trained, right? You can see this is from Mother Truman, one lady from Atlanta that actually trained, and after the course, right, she actually sent a feedback to us, telling us how she was grateful and how she actually landed the job at HCG and Pazura. So this is what you need to understand, right? Also, you can see this is a WhatsApp message from one student that took our course, right, for that CWS program, and they actually gave us a feedback about the course. So all these are what you can actually get, right, if you decide to learn with us. So I would like to say something, right? Now, no matter what career path you pick in life, right, it will be hard. So pick something that will pay you better, right? Pick something that will pay you better. And one thing again I will say is that if you love to learn, right? If you love to learn in a structured and organized way, let me go back to that slide. If you love to learn in a structured and organized way, right? You want to follow practical steps, you want to look at documentations, then register with us today. Okay, so this is the end of this session, right? And if you have any question, you can ask it in the group. The group is going to be open, and the link to this video recording will be shared, so you can actually rewatch this webinar. So without further ado, I want to thank you all for attending this webinar, and I want to see you guys register for these courses. Okay, I want to see you guys in class, and we're going to see in the next one. So bye for now.